Welcome. We're at the weekly small business coaching brief hosted by Kevin Case. Kevin, can you remind us what we talked about last week?
Well, we're talking about the 20 strategy questions. There are 20 hard questions on what your strategy is and where you should be going with your business and what you should consider. Last week, we talked about two of the sets of questions. The first one is your purpose. Why you do what you do, who do you serve, the value you deliver, why you matter, and what your ambition is. The second category is in what your business recipe is, or how are you making money. What's your difference? How do you deliver your value proposition? Why is your strategy superior, and how is that going to evolve? Which takes us to the section now on what should your organization character be? What kind of organization should you be? And I'll point out that for those of you that were with us on the personal goal setting a few weeks ago, that as a business owner, this all flows from your personal goal. The organization, the mission of the organization needs to originate with who you are, what your values are. The organization's a reflection of you. So when you're thinking of this, or what the character is, or the company mission, basically, it's a value statement. Think about what assumptions guide you. What basic values do you have that you want to bring to the business? Is it a character of you want to be the best in any particular area, or do you want to add do it by adding particular value that improves the overall well-being of society or the particular class of customer that you're after? But you need to think of the assumptions that cause you to do what you want to do, that push you into that, or compel you, I should say, to go into that particular line of business and serve that particular group of customers.
That's interesting. And very crucial, I think, to identify that first so that you have that compass to always guide you. Say, well, wait a minute. Is this where I was, the values that I have, and are we keeping in track with that? Do you find that people are shifting that a lot, though? I mean, in your experience with talking to potential or even existing small business owners, helping them stay stable on their values and try to encourage them to say, make sure you're very convicted and committed to those values so they don't shift a lot, because that's going to shift this, don't you think?
Yeah, I would say that one of the reasons that I see people get stress in their business, aside from the usual stuff of cash flow and customers, et cetera, is when the business starts to stray away from its core principles. And the business starts to move in directions that say they're not comfortable with, or they aren't in tune. You get some dissonance there. So it really takes us back to the underlying principles. And it's a consistent theme of what we've talked about so far. It's what you're doing needs to be consistent with your values. It needs to be consistent with your capabilities. And those are things that you need to have pretty well thought out before you even open your doors.
Cool. And then you talk about, those assumptions that are guiding you. Can you talk a little bit more about those?
Well, it really needs to be in the areas of what are your particular sets of skills or your expertise, what you see as something that's missing in the marketplace. That kind of ties back to your value proposition, what makes your strategy superior. You need to have a pretty good idea of that. As an example, somewhere early in the process, when I start working with a new tab member, we do a SWOT analysis: strengths, weakness, opportunities, threats. And that really helps you identify the areas where you are superior and the areas where you need to question your assumptions and take a look at if you're doing what you need to be doing.
Do you find that, I'm sure some people too, and we all get in our silos and get a little myopic with where we are and assume a lot of things. Well, this kind of customer will totally love this, or they'll hate this. Do you find that you have to sometimes have to take some time to research and say, well, let's actually look at what the figures say, and maybe your assumptions are incorrect? Sometimes,
and it's better to figure that out sooner rather than later. Sometimes you don't know until you actually go out there and try it. But if you give some thought to it and some study of what others in that segment have done, I think you can get a pretty good idea of what's working, what's not working in the marketplace. Because you also need to do that to figure out what you want to do that's going to differentiate you from the others doing the same thing.
Mm-hmm. Right. And I like you talked too about like kind of what turns you on and excites you. I mean,
exactly. That really needs to be part of your character, because if you're not excited about what you're doing, why would I do business with you? If you're not an evangelist for your product. One of my members works in the tech sector and is, I would say, an evangelist not only for what he does, but for technology in general, to the point where any opportunity he gets to speak in front of a group about personal technology and small business technology really gets him going. It's so obvious when someone is passionate about what they do and what they're bringing to the table, to the clients, to society at large, that it really makes a difference. Mm-hmm. I mean, take a look. If you were talking to someone about a particular product or service that you wanted, and you're talking to someone who's just kind of so laid back they put you to sleep, or talking to someone who's just actively engaged and excited and enthused about the product, who are you going to hire?
Right.
And you really want to take a look at what gets you going. If it's you wake up in the morning and you can't wait to go out and do what it is you're doing, granted we all have off days where we're not so excited about it, but on balance, if it's really something that turns you on and excites you, it's going to make a big difference in how you run your business, how people relate to you, how, if you've got employees, how they relate to you. If you bring excitement in every morning, it's contagious.
Right. You know, and one thing I think I often want to help kind of clarify with people too, because I'm a as you know, hardcore extrovert.
No.
This isn't about being an extrovert or an introvert. I mean, some introverts might think, well, I'm not, what do you mean? I'm not going to be like some over the top, but I don't think you're talking about that, because an introvert can still show that passion, right?
Oh yeah. You can see that, and you need to be who you are, but you can modify it to a certain extent.
Right.
To do what you need to do what you want to do. And even if you're an introvert, if you're passionate about something, that'll come through.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And then I think this also, one thought I had was, you can have all this passion. I think you have to be careful, though, when you do bring on team members, that they share and share your passion, right?
Yes. It's a good idea when you're looking at bringing on team members to make sure that they're compatible with your vision, compatible with your personality, your communication style. Mm-hmm. For example, I also do assessments, behavioral assessments, as part of an onboarding process for hiring, screening, or even job benchmarking. And one of the consistent themes there is you don't need someone that's exactly the same personality. Is one of the things that I do when I go through the personal goal setting and personal vision is, what types of people do you like to be around, and then what types of people complement you. You don't want to have groupthink. You don't want to have people that all look at things exactly the same way and have the same personality. But it's important to understand that variety of personalities, if you learn to communicate with them, makes a real difference. There's such a huge emphasis on diversity these days that we shouldn't lose sight of the fact that diversity of types of personality is important as well, because they bring different skill sets, different ideas, different ways of approaching things.
Yep. True. I totally love that you said that too, because I think we, again, get in our silo and just assume everybody thinks a certain way, but you do bring them diverse viewpoints in and skills, and you can actually take yourself to new levels by welcoming them in.
You certainly can. And part of that too, when you're thinking of character, what's not negotiable? And this really goes back to your core values and your core principles. There are certain things you won't do. Certain things, I've got clients that won't work with people in certain industry segments. Others, that's not so much an issue. Others that just, there are certain particular things that they're not interested in or that go against their core value system. And that's fine. But you need to make sure that you're aware of that, because you don't want to compromise who you are to advance the business. that causes those 2 a.m. moments with why am I doing this?
Yeah.
I had a client that had walked away from some significant pieces of business because he had a philosophical disagreement with what those particular potential clients stood for.
Mm-hmm.
And that's fine. If that conflicts with who you are and who you want to be, that's not a problem.
Mm-hmm.
There are other times where what's not negotiable is you just see individually. In my business, there are people that maybe not a good fit for me or vice versa.
Mm-hmm.
And if it doesn't make sense for me to work with them, then there's no point in pursuing that. There are plenty of other people that I can refer them to that can help them.
Right.
But there are certain things that are just non-negotiable, and you need to understand what they are when you're determining and imparting the character of your business and your organization to your employees and your prospect and client base.
Mm-hmm. I think that's so valuable to say, because especially as a small business, sometimes you're like, well, I need revenue, I need to bring it in, I need to make some, compromises. But then
sometimes it really hurts.
Yes. Well, because it's a square peg and round hole thing where it's just exactly. Uncomfortable. And eventually, mm-hmm. no amount of revenue that's coming in from that method is going to make you feel good. You're like, it's just not worth it.
Yeah, exactly. And that brings us to the last point of what your organization character is. Mm-hmm. It's how do you behave?
Yes.
Because you as the person that owns and runs that business, you set an example, and the way you conduct yourself really sets the tone for the character of the organization. Mm-hmm. It could be as simple as if you're a retail organization, if you're running a retail operation and you need those doors to be open at 9 a.m. every morning, and you don't get there when you tell people you're going to get there, that's going to be contagious with the rest of the people that work for you. Well, gee, Rachel doesn't get there at 9, even though we're supposed to open it on the day she says she's going to be there. What difference does it make if we're 10 minutes, 20 minutes late? And how many times have we had appointments set or phone calls set or gone to a place that was supposed to be open and it wasn't?
Right.
I remember vividly meeting some friends at a restaurant that was supposed to be open at 10 a.m. on a Saturday for brunch, and we got there at the quarter after, and there was nobody there except the dishwasher.
Oh, no. They're not going to give you anything good.
not even the floor manager or the cooks had shown up. But those types of things, have I been back to that restaurant? No.
Well, and the dishwasher hopefully was like, I'm out of here. I'm going to find something new.
No, actually, I'll give him credit. He was not able to get in because he didn't have a key. He was just sitting in his car in the parking lot waiting for somebody to show up, and was very apologetic. He himself exemplified good customer service, but there was not a thing he could do.
Wow.
But that's really something to think about, is how you behave. If you act like you don't care about your clients, the people that are working with you, working for you, mm-hmm. will get that same impression that they don't care. If you act like you don't really care about the product or the service and the quality, that's contagious as well. So how you behave is really critical mm-hmm. in terms of setting the tone for the character of the organization,
I would say. And actually, so we're coming up, we only have about a little under mm-hmm. 2 minutes left. Can you give us a teaser as to what we're going to hear about with the next segment, which should wrap us up with the 20 questions?
Sure. The next time around, we'll talk about what your goals and priorities are and what are the actions that you have to take. So what is it you have to do, and how are you going to make it happen? Mm-hmm. And that'll set the tone for the rest of the discussion for the next time we get together, in terms of making sure that you have a roadmap and that you begin to design the strategy and the tactics that are going to take you where you want to go.
Great. Well, thanks, Kevin. And real briefly, can you, just for our viewers, talk about, again, just in your brief elevator pitch, that's like what you're bringing to business in Denver?
Great. Well, what I do is work with business owners to help them manage more effectively, improve their top and bottom lines, and I'd say help them sleep better at night. I do this by giving them a forum to learn more about how other people deal with problems, to get suggestions, things that they can do to improve their business by forming peer advisory groups of non-competing business owners. I get them together once a month and they talk about the challenges and the opportunities in their businesses and get the best thinking of their other peer advisors so that they can go out and actually apply those in the business. And along with that, I do individual coaching as well as behavioral assessments, job benchmarking, assistance in hiring.
Nice.
So a lot of tools for small business.
That's awesome. And I know, too, even locally, you're bringing some different seminars and workshops to your small business owners. Recently, you just did one on how to measure your business data and why you need to care about that. And that was really helpful for all of us who know about big data mattering.
Exactly. No, we'll be doing a speaker series every other month. I'll be teaching in Small Business Development Center this summer at Front Range Community College, a seminar on employee satisfaction and reducing employee turnover.
Well, excellent. And I'm sharing your website in the sidebar there. So again, if anyone wants to, watching this or replaying this, wants to hop on and find out what can Kevin do to help my small business, it's all right on there, tabdenvernorth.com. Kevin, thanks for giving us another awesome small business coaching brief today.
All right, and thank you, and we'll see you all next week.
Thank you.